onto the moment. The time is now. Give up yourself onto the moment. Let's make this moment.
It is Motogp 25 release day. I cannot wait to get started. I'm really excited to bring you my first impressions. As always, we're going to jump straight in and see what it's all about. So just here in the menus, first thing I noticed is another bug after following across. So a lot of you remember this bug. When you scroll down, it keeps kicking you back up the page. Unfortunately, this has also made it into GP25. Something to note just before I got to track that this has been here now 3 years, I think, in terms of games. I think it's been here since 22, if memory serves me correct. So yeah, unfortunate. So it is time. We're going to just go straight for a pit start because I'm really interested. I've yet to hear these new audios and apparently they are much better. So here we are. I'm going to be quiet for the whole kind of pit exit and maybe the acceleration up to turn 1, and then I'll make a comment on them. Interesting to note there, autopilot takes you right out onto the track, not just into the exit of the pit. The audio is much meatier. Okay, there's something going on with my camera. Give me 2 minutes, I'm going to have to customize camera because stuff like this is very triggering to me. Okay, so I've just basically turned off all the... They have a lot of effects on to make the camera swivel and make it look fast. For me, it just makes the game feel floaty and it gives you a lack of feeling. One thing I noticed straight off the bat, way less wheelies and the controller is a lot more alive in my hands. Bike feels a lot more alive on brakes into this corner here. Now, I've made a mistake, right? I'll be the first to admit. I've come to Reth pretty much every year to try out the game first. And I always actually think it's quite good day one at Jerez. So today we're going off to try a track that I don't particularly love afterwards. I've yet to decide it, but we're going to try something afterwards just to see if my feelings do carry over. So far, it turns out very sharply, and wheelies are non-existent, it feels. The audio is a big step. I know everyone's could have been saying that, but like, there's just so much more fidelity and a lot more. Oh, hello. Fidelity and a lot more going on. Right out device as well doesn't just immediately pop the wheelie, which is good. Just listen to that kind of the crackle as I first pick up the throttle, where they're trying to simulate a bit of a hot air. Bit of the traction kicking in, really bouncing off the electronics on it. But you have a lot more feeling straight away through the controller, which is something I've probably been a bit critical of over definitely last year's game 24. I felt the vibration was... You got vibration when it was critical, but at that point you had nothing up to it. Whereas now I'm getting vibration a lot of times, not just from locking the front or chatter, but like the whole time into the corner I'm getting nice vibration through the controller. I'll probably say again now, literally only like 2 laps in, but I'd say the vibration, this is the best it's been in years for me. Because I actually I have some sort of feeling of what the bike is doing. So far though, this does not feel bad. I thought it would feel a lot like GP24. It feels more nimble straight away. It feels like we've managed to shed a few kgs off these bikes. And it feels a bit more live. I have it on max graphics as well. I should have mentioned that at the start. Completely forgot to say it. And here on my PC, it looks very good. Whether YouTube does a thing and ruins footage, as always, hope not. And as well, ooh, bit of a stoppy. As well, the audio through YouTube it gets really compressed, so it doesn't sound that good. So if you are listening to it and think it doesn't sound that good, it's more than likely for the exact same reason why every other footage I've seen before launch, where I've seen people go, oh, the audio is much better, and I'm like, is it really though? It sounds pretty much the same. it gets very heavily compressed, and a lot of the little fidelity and just the small undertones and the highs and the lows kind of get mashed into one, so you end up not getting a lot of clarity. Whereas so far this Ducati does sound a lot more Desmodronic. Just, oh, I love the first touch of throttle where it just kind of has that kind of gurgle. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by this so far. Big thing for me, right, and it's going to sound a bit stupid, I can place the bike pretty easily where I want, which is something I've struggled with since 21. 21 was the absolute god tier GP game for me, especially on the modern day Unreal Engine. Of course, as well, it's well worth noting this is on Unreal Engine 5, so it's a big jump. Well, probably not a big jump, but it's definitely a jump forward in equipment for them, and I suppose it just means this game mightn't be the most fleshed out, because I think there's probably a lot of work getting it into the new engine and stuff. And again, it is a new engine, but for them it's like a 2.0 to the engine they were on, is probably the way to look at it, really. Oh, snaps around another brake. The bike is much more lively on the brakes, which is something I've had an issue with for a long time in these games. Since 22, the bike has just been painful while trying to brake. It's just been numb. And then into brakes, into turn 1 there. I was really trying to get the anchors down, really get hard on the front brake. And it seemingly did want to actually cooperate, which is good. Again though, I'm just really happy with how much vibration and feeling I have. So I'm going to quickly go through the camera menus, the camera angles. This is the really far back one, so they used to run for years, don't anymore. On board, pretty static on board this one. And then this would be helmet cam. Ooh. Okay, this feels absolutely as floaty as the Titanic. No, I'm afraid I cannot do that. Let me go back to this one. This feels a bit better. Unfortunately though, again, maybe it doesn't feel as bad. It feels like just the bike is kind of rotating on the screen, and the helmet, your vision isn't really doing much. But I think this is definitely, if I was playing first person, if I do anything this year in first person, this is the camera angle I'd be in. The helmet cam that we have there was pretty poor. I'm at least able to somewhat hit an apex with this one. Oh, it does feel a bit weird still, but this one, oh my god, this just feels weird. When I try to do a few corners with it, oh my god, it's so hard. It's like when you pick the bike up, it naturally wants to center itself. It just gives a weird effect. I wouldn't say it's very natural the way it simulates head movement, because it simulates the rider kind of leaning more than looking, which is oh, this is very off-putting. Alright, let's go back to normal. I'm going to turn the traction control down. I'm just going to do a few more laps myself in silence, and I'm going to just basically see is there anything else I notice, and I'll probably give a little brief description of what I feel after a few more laps, and then we might jump somewhere else, and we might even try Moto 2 and Moto 3 in this, because I actually always going to forget to try them on the initial kind of first day. So we will try some few other bits. It'll probably be a bit of a longer video. Usually my first impression video is pretty short, but I want to try it out and give, because I know a lot of people wait for videos like this before purchasing, so I kind of want to give a first early view at it and see what I think of day one. So right, we're going to do a few laps and I will catch you in a few. So first thing to note, I suppose, is that I'm from my very early playtime now. I want to stress this, that it feels a bit to me like a bit more like GP21, which is amazing to me. So the bike feels a lot more loose on corner entry, which is something I felt like has been an issue for a while. Now I want to test another track, because again, I've been lulled into feeling the game is a lot better in certain scenarios by playing this bloody Jerez track. So we're going to go somewhere else, and at least then I can rule out if the game feels numbing, that kind of numb feeling on the brakes comes back. But so far Jerez, I did enjoy it. So we're going to take Bezzecchi on his current RSGP I should say, around the Valencian circuit, just because I feel like Valencia is one of those tracks. There's a lot of quirky corners that if I feel like there's going to be any weird flaws, it'll feel a bit more here. So I'm going to talk more about the physics when you get into this one, but I'm going to just spin a few laps on this and just see if I can maybe see any other issues I'm finding. But so far, pretty good. One thing I definitely noticed, and again, I hope it comes through on YouTube, because again, everything on YouTube does usually get compressed and loses a bit of quality, which is a bit annoying when I record. Pretty much, like if I watch the footage back on my PC, it looks amazing, versus what I end up getting on YouTube. Then I kind of always feel a bit disappointed how my content looks. But I think the overall lighting is a lot better. It's a bit more contrasting. The darks are darker and the brights are brighter, if that makes sense. Audio check. Yeah, I must admit they have improved it this year, definitely. Down to turn 1 with calm. It's a bit early on the brakes there. Valencia does look a bit different. Bike still just feels a lot more alive than last year's game, and I only played that yesterday just for reference. I always play the old game before the new one, just to make sure that I'm fresh with everything in my head of how the current game that's just gone has felt. Oh, curbs are still absolute mass murderers. Save it. Save it. Alright, we're stunting chant. Love it. Right, let's keep going. So I had a few issues with the Heret curbs as well, and to be fair, the curb I was on there, you should never really be on. That was more of a mistake by me. The curbers, Heret, I had an issue with the curb on entry to turn 2, just touched it with Frankie, and it kind of pulled me off the track, which was a bit weird. So maybe curbs still a bit bugged, which is one of those things, to be honest, you go back far as Milestone have taken over the GP franchise rights, kind of, really. The curbs have never been something they've been actually able to get right, to be honest. So they still seem a bit pingy in this one. The audio is very nice. Again, YouTube will not do it justice, I'll just say that much. Because it just doesn't pick up how loud and the cracks and pops. A bit later into 1 this time. Again, I can feel the bike moving underneath me. It doesn't feel mobile as much. I feel a big issue is, right? So the last few games, I felt 22, 23 obviously, and a bit in 24 is that you could brake really hard in a straight line without any repercussions of what the bike would do underneath you. Whereas now, if you're getting the brakes too hard, the bike does dance around, which I felt like what that is now is making you ride, is just making you release the brake a bit early, which allows the bike to be a bit more natural in corner entry. So you're not hard on the brake the whole time into the corner. But to be fair, even with the brake hard right on, it is quite easy to move the bike around still, so I think that's definitely better. And again, as the game wears off of me, the kind of new feeling, I might notice some of these things I don't like. It usually does happen, unfortunately, but this initial play is actually quite, again, I'm really enjoying the feedback and getting through the controller, which is very, very promising for me. I can feel a lot what the rear and the front is doing, so big props to them for whatever they've done with the controller support, because it's definitely a step forward on last year. Interesting crash. To be fair, I was trying to kind of be a bit of a dick, and I was trying that basically if I got really hard on the brakes with the understeer wide. No, I lost the front, which is good. You don't want like infinite grip on the front end, so that is a decent one. Again, yeah, graphically, for me, it's definitely a step up. Now, of course, a lot of people are saying Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 5 GP 2040 25, it looks identical. It doesn't really. A lot of cynics out there kind of want to immediately shit on the game before they've even got hands on, just by a couple of minutes of a YouTube video. And again, I've already said 3 or 4 times that YouTube does not do the game justice in terms of the visuals and the audio. It's just, again, you mightn't be able to hear it over me talking, me blabbering on, but there's just a lot of things that are kind of tucked under the audio that I'm picking up through my headphones. Oh, grass. And I think that'll really surprise a lot of people when they get hands on. Just a lot of pops and bangs, little backfires and mechanical noises that you would hear if you're at the side of a track, whereas previously in the GP games we've never really had these in-depth audio. So I'm quite interested to try it out. The other few manufacturers, the 2 Japanese, Honda and the Yamaha, and then get on a KTM, because I believe the Honda has been completely redone because the audio's been wrong for that for a few years. So I'm interested to try that at some point. But to kind of wrap up the GP, because I want to just try out Moto 3 and Moto 2 quickly. To wrap up on, yeah, I can really feel the front chattering in there as I'm putting a lot of load through it. So yeah, cold as well, this front tire, so that could be a bit of a reason why I crashed there. But just to kind of wrap up on the GP one so far, the GP feeling, it does feel a lot looser on the brakes, which means you can kind of place the bike a bit more. The bike moves around a lot more, and there's just a lot more feeling through the controller in terms of the physics. It does also feel like the bike is a bit lighter, and I genuinely am getting GP21 vibes of this in terms of just how it plays, not overall nostalgia or anything. It's just the bike on GP21 was quite oversteering on corner entry, which if you could control it, you could place the bike a lot easier and you could make lap time from it. And so far on my maybe 10 laps I've done, I did about 6 at Jerez, and now we're on lap 4 here. I do feel it's quite similar on this in some extent. So yeah, we're going to jump over now and try some Moto 2 first, and then we'll try the little bikes last. We won't try, oh, I'm going to lose the front here, aren't I? I'm going to lose the front. No, I managed to just about chatter my whole, you can see a big black line on the left. I'm not going to try the flat track and the Supermoto and all that. I'll have a separate video at some point today trying them out, because they're obviously a hot topic on the day of release. But yeah, going to jump now to some Moto 2 gameplay and see if my feelings are as good with them. So I've decided to take Mr. Holgado, one of the most impressive rookies in Moto 2 this year, if not the most impressive, to Qatar just for the lighting and try out the Moto 2 bike. So immediately the rider looks, from the back anyway, he looks huge. From the side it looks more proportional, but on the back he looks massive. They don't sound bad at all, they sound pretty good. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think I played much Moto 2 last couple of years. Immediately there's a noticeable less fidelity through the controller. Feel it when I change the gear and stuff, but like when I pick up the throttle there's very little. Now of course, quite a difference between a Moto 2 bike in terms of power output and a GP bike, but it does feel a bit worse to be honest, because I have so little feedback now, which is, it feels weird. Now there's still good feedback on corner entry, but I still say it's not anywhere near the GP bike. Again, when you're really pushing the front into the corner, there's some nice feedback, but as soon as you kind of get off the front ever so slightly, it goes back to a kind of a numbing feeling. Now the bikes seem to handle pretty well, but and especially I'm not getting anything from the rear at all. Like I just pinned it out of there. No issues. Now I do remember from Biker Gaming's preview video, he did a race on one of these at Spielberg, if I'm not wrong. Basically shredded his tire and he said the bike was the hardest to ride, so I wonder when the tire drops, does the feeling come through the tire a bit more? We are of course on fresh softs, and in time trial they don't wear, so maybe it's just that this brand new rear tire underneath me, it's feeling quite well. Oh, pushing the front quite a lot. They're quite light and flickable, I'd say is the best way to say them. They don't feel bad at all. It's just again, it's noticeable the lack of feeling through the controller compared to what I just had with Frankie at Jerez and then Bez at Valencia. Again, when it's a new game, you're always a bit kind of tentative early on, so maybe I'm just not pushing these bikes enough to get the feeling. So there's a big slide there from the rear, and to be honest, it was only the fact that I could see it that I could really comment on it, because it definitely didn't give me any warning it was about to go. Because I do know a lot of my viewers and a lot of people that play these games only play the little bikes. They play the Moto 3, the Moto 2. They don't. A lot of people don't touch the big bikes because they just don't like the way they handle. So I think it is important that these bikes are a very good representation also. And I think overall the physics of these are again pretty good, because it feels nice and nimble, and I can place the bike where I want. What I would call it is sharp. I can really put it everywhere I need it to be. It's just the lack of, it's the rear tire really, the lack of feeling I have with it is just a bit weird. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but that's kind of what the first impressions is. I kind of just say what I see really. I call it how it is. But yeah, they are fun little bike to ride, I must admit, because you can carry a lot of corners with them. They're not hard to ride. Not that the GP bikes are incredibly hard on this at the moment, but these are a nice switch up. Lost front there on the curb. Mazzano curb there doing its job. Again, I lit the rear up there and I just didn't get any feeling, so hopefully that one might be get adjusted in time. Or again, if a tyre wears, I reckon you'll spin a bit more, you get a bit more feeling. But that's 2 laps of Qatar. I'm going to leave it there for the Moto 2. There's not much else to say. I feel like they handled pretty well. Just a slight lack of feeling, especially from the rear. So we've jumped on as Rueda and we've gone to Mazzano, which looks a lot different. Not too sure what looks different, but it looks a lot different. I think it's the off-track stuff looks quite a bit different. Audio sounds very much the same as last year from these bikes. To be fair, from 22, 23, 24 onto this, I don't think these bikes have changed that much. It doesn't sound bad, the KTM, not gonna lie. It sounds as a KTM sounds. But it's, if you're hearing what the current GP bikes sound, there isn't the same jump in fidelity, I'd say, of these. So interesting enough, right, I have more feeling and feedback through the controller on this bike. So I wonder, is there just something, maybe day one, bit of a slight bug with the Moto 2 bike that doesn't give me the same feeling, because I'm getting a lot of feeling immediately with this Moto 3 bike. Factory Gravon 8 lap 1, you'd love to see it. I must admit, they do actually step out quite easily, these little Moto 3 bikes, so I'm getting a lot of feeling from it. Whether it's kind of accurate to what they, like, I wouldn't say they step out much in real life other than just throwing you off and high-siding, but a lot of feeling through the front with this again, whereas the Moto 2 bike just lacked that slightly, which is, again, something I'd imagine isn't right, and I presume they will probably fix that at some point. But even the rear tyre there, big slide, so again, it seems like the Moto 3 bikes are harder to ride than the Moto 2. You have to be a bit more careful. I was kind of just kind of ragging the Moto 2 bike quite easily, whereas now this Moto 3 bike is quite peaky and torquey and pitchy, would be the way as I describe it. As soon as I get in the brakes, immediately lots of feedback. So again, I'm going to kind of reiterate, I'd say if you are playing Moto 2 in the first day or two, there might be a slight bug. Now, it could have been just that bike, it might have been, there could have been a lot of things really, but I would say for now, maybe the Moto 2 bikes are slightly bugged just through the controller, so it'd be interesting to see if that changes throughout the life cycle. But for now, really happy the way now GP feels through the controller in terms of feedback. Same with the Moto 3 bike, it's quite similar. And these do feel pretty much the same, these Moto 3 bikes, they haven't changed much. They're really light, and they turn in really fast. So it's one of those ones where I don't think these will change much in the time, unless they get a regs change in real life, which I don't see happening, to be honest. So if you're a fan of the last couple of games Moto 3 bikes, you should be a fan of it. No, I got a little stoppy there, to be fair, which is something you wouldn't see in the other one, so maybe they are slightly different. Definitely there into Mazzano corner, I got on the brakes and the bike did like to stop. You'll see, can we recreate it? Yeah, that was weird, but anyway. I just tried to get as hard as I could on the brakes and turn in, and it just did some weird top rack lunge to turn 1. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here. If you want to see any particular footage of this game from day one, drop me a comment and let me know. Of course, you can join the Discord. My Discord is linked in the description down below. That'll be the easiest place to contact me about the game and just with ideas of stuff you want to see. But again, drop a comment. I'll pick some of the comments out and make some videos, like maybe some laps at Balleton Park, a night race at Qatar, all these different things. And again, I can try different classes, different bikes and everything. So again, let me know what you think. If you have got the game already, let me know in a comment if you like it. If you don't like it, why not? Basically, the more information we kind of get back from the community, the better the game gets, is the way I look at it. So again, thank you for tuning in. To kind of recap, it's better for now. I hope I still feel like this after a day or two, but the physics feel a lot more loose and opening and welcoming to me as an experienced player of these games. I'm much more able to get on and put the bike where I want it, so I'm happy so far. But again, I will stress, this is not the first time I've played a game on day one or first impressions and been happy with it. I was happy with 23 on release, never liked that in the end. Happy with 24 on release, and that kind of went away from what I liked. So far, this feels a lot more of a throwback to GP21, which for me right now is good. So again, for the rate of the milestone for getting it out, it's less than a year since the last one came out, so again, it's a quick turnaround. But again, thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. We'll have more videos out throughout today on the channel. Stay tuned. And once again, thanks for watching.